All right, let's get into it. We're going to break down the actual science behind focus and motivation. Seriously, by the end of this, you'll get the brain chemistry that can make all that hard work feel not just, possible, but maybe even rewarding. You know the feeling, right? We've all been there. You sit down to do that thing you have to do, that report, studying, whatever it is, and your brain just puts up a wall. It feels stressful, confusing, just awful. But what if I told you that feeling isn't a stop sign? It's actually the starting gate. You see, the very first stage of getting into deep focus is something we can call the agitation gate. Think of it like a mandatory checkpoint your brain has to pass through. And understanding this, well, that's the secret to unlocking your ability to keep going. And look, this feeling isn't a sign that you're lazy or undisciplined. It's actually a totally predictable neurochemical event. Your brain is literally getting ready for the task ahead. And that whole preparation phase, it feels uncomfortable on purpose. It happens to everyone. So who's the culprit? It's a neurochemical called norepinephrine. It's a close cousin of adrenaline, and its main job is to put your brain on high alert. It's basically screaming, hey, pay attention, something important is about to happen. Let's think about this another way. You wouldn't just walk into a gym cold and try to lift your personal best, would you? Of course not. You warm up first. Well, norepinephrine is your brain's warm-up. That feeling of agitation is just the engine revving before you can smoothly merge onto the highway of focus. Okay, so if norepinephrine is that awful starting feeling, what keeps us in the game? That's where our next little chemical comes into play, dopamine. This is the key to what we'll call the dopamine milestone, and it's how this whole system really starts to work for you. Now, most people think of dopamine as that big I won chemical you get at the very end, but its real job, its primary role, is to be a guide. It gets released in these little bursts along the way, telling your brain, yep, keep going, you're heading in the right direction. To make this super clear, just picture a thirsty deer. That initial nagging feeling of thirst and stress, that's its norepinephrine kicking in, forcing it to get up and do something. Then it smells water. That little hint gives it a sense of, okay, I'm on the right path. And when it finally finds the stream and takes a drink, that's the big dopamine release that says, remember this? This worked. So you've got agitation pushing you to start, and dopamine guiding you forward. But the real magic, the part that builds endurance, happens when these two chemicals work together. They team up to buffer your brain's natural, built-in quit response. I mean, the difference is night and day. On one side, you have just norepinephrine by itself. That feels like pure stress. It's that, this is too hard, I want to quit feeling. But when dopamine shows up to the party, it transforms that agitation into focused effort. The internal monologue shifts from, I have to do this to, I can do this. I'm making progress. So let's get a little deeper. Here's how it actually works. Every time you push yourself and exert effort, your brain releases norepinephrine. And there's this little quit counter in your brainstem that starts to fill up. Once that counter gets too high, it triggers a shutdown. You just quit. It's an automatic, physical thing. But, and this is so crucial, the moment you recognize you're making progress, even a tiny bit, your brain releases dopamine. And that dopamine literally smacks the quit counter back down. It buys you more time. It gives you more energy. It puts more gas in the tank so you can keep on going. Okay, this leads us to a really, really powerful idea. If dopamine is the fuel, how do we get more of it? Well, this is where we learn to stop waiting for rewards from the outside world and start building our very own internal reward engine. This famous study is the perfect warning. Researchers found a bunch of kids who just loved to draw. They did it for fun. Then they started giving them gold stars for their drawings. Pretty soon, the kids weren't drawing because they loved it. They were drawing to get the star. And guess what happened when the researchers took the stars away? The kids stopped drawing. They had outsourced their motivation. This quote just nails the danger here. When we become dependent on those external rewards, whether it's likes on social media, praise from a boss, or even gold stars, we're teaching our brain that only those things are worth a dopamine hit. We're literally narrowing our own sources of motivation. And here is the big takeaway, the liberating truth of it all. This entire system, the norepinephrine, the dopamine, the quit counter, it's all happening inside your own head. You have the password. You have the power to consciously direct it and reward yourself for the things you decide are important. So let's put this all into action. This isn't just some interesting science theory, it's a practical skill. You can actually learn to manage the system and really rewire your brain for motivation. And the amazing thing is that these brain circuits for focus and drive, they're generic. The same system you use to get through a tough workout is the one you can use to start a business, learn an instrument, or fix a relationship. Once you learn how to operate the system, you can point it at any goal you want. So what does this new mindset actually look like? Well, it's pretty simple. First, when you feel that agitation, just recognize it. Go, okay, there's the warm-up. Second, remind yourself it won't last forever. And third, this is the most important part, when you finish a small piece of the task or even just work for 10 minutes, consciously tell yourself, good job, I'm on the right track. That right there, that's you giving yourself that dopamine hit. Do that over and over and it becomes automatic. So when you learn to attach that feeling of reward to the effort itself, not just the final victory, you are constantly pushing back on that quit response. You are literally refilling your own gas tank again and again, giving yourself what feels like a nearly infinite supply of energy to chase down your goals. Seriously, think about that for a second. If that overwhelming urge to quit was something you could actually manage, not by just gritting your teeth, but by understanding your own brain chemistry, what could you really accomplish? What would be possible then?